and welcome to SBK Edge Rush Extra. You might have seen our Sunday episodes hosted by the brilliant Nat Coombs, but this is a one-off bonus episode with myself, Tom Collins, hosting, and my NFL colleague, tipster Jack Goddard, joining me for this episode, covering the Denver Broncos versus Indianapolis Colts game. Jack, how are you doing?
Hi, Tom. I'm doing great, thank you. I'm really excited to make my debut on Edge Rush Extra, and excited for tonight's game. Hopefully, it'll be more interesting and exciting than it looks on paper.
Yeah, exactly. So Thursday Night Football is a matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Indianapolis Colts, as I previously said. Now, these two teams have got a lot to prove. The Denver Broncos fell to 2-2 after a loss to the Las Vegas Raiders last week, while the Indianapolis Colts are just 1-2-1. I mean, who anticipated that for a start this season? Jonathan Taylor suffered an injury as well. So, Jack, how do you see these two sides, and how would you sum up their season so far?
I think underwhelming is probably the way to put it. I mean, neither side have been totally awful, but not how they wanted to be. Of course, they obviously both signed new quarterbacks over the off season, so they were hoping that their quarterbacks would obviously lift them to sort of new heights, which they haven't really hit. I think, at least for the Broncos, their defense is absolutely possibly the best defense in the league. To be fair, and they're sort of carrying Russell Wilson in the offense at the moment. The Colts obviously were awful, particularly against the Jaguars, but then randomly beat the Chiefs. So we don't really know what to expect from them. They obviously have a result in them, but yeah, they both would be hoping to be better going forward. You would think. Yeah,
for sure. Now, let's start with the Denver Broncos. I've been really disappointed with them on offense so far this season. I mean, in a couple of preseason videos that I did, I tipped the Denver Broncos to win the Super Bowl. So I have to say I want to go back on those words now because it's not panning out as anticipated. Russell Wilson, who obviously joined the Denver Broncos, as you've just touched on, during the offseason, has been a bit disappointing. Courtland Sutton is producing, Jerry Jeudy less so. But this running back situation, what is going on here? I mean, Javonte Williams has looked good until he got injured last weekend. Melvin Gordon just keeps fumbling the ball. Now they're down to Mike Boone and Latavius Murray. What do you make of this backfield?
Yeah, you're right. It's a bit of a mess, isn't it? And it's not going to help them when they already can't get going on offense at all. I mean, I think Williams might actually be missed most in the receiving game. He had 21 targets in his first 3 weeks, but obviously getting injured last week. So they're going to have to find those targets from somewhere. I don't really know who they're going to go with. Apparently, the head coach said that Gordon was the guy, and they go. I think he said, obviously we're going to go with Gordon. So they can try that, but as you say, he keeps fumbling the ball, and he was completely dropped from the game last week after his fumble. So I feel like if he fumbles again, they probably will bring Boone and Murray back into it. And Murray did well last week for the Saints. He got 57 rushing yards and a touchdown. So if Gordon fumbles again, I think Murray might even be the lead back, which isn't what you want for a Super Bowl contender.
No, absolutely not. And the fact that, like, Latavius Murray, as you say, played for the Saints last week, he doesn't even know the system. He's suddenly joining this team and could be RB1. Bit of a ridiculous situation. Now, moving on to the Colts, and it's another injury we've got to talk about here. The case of Jonathan Taylor, largely picked as the number one selection in every single NFL fantasy draft this season. He started his season, okay. He wasn't necessarily going off with these fantasy points, and he wasn't really producing for the Colts. As I say, they've only won one of their first 4 games. But now he's been dealt with an ankle injury. He had a scan earlier this week, and he exited that scan, and basically the doctor said he was all clear. But he's still got a high ankle sprain, and he's been ruled out for this weekend, this Thursday night game. How will that affect the Indianapolis Colts offense?
Nyheim Hines will probably be the next man up. I don't see that he'll do any better than Taylor. There's no. I mean, you mentioned NFL fantasy there. Obviously, a lot of people have been picking him up. He's not going to do any better than Taylor, is he? He's not anywhere near the same standard of player. I guess what Taylor's injury means is that Matt Ryan will have to throw the ball more, and that's not, I don't think, a good thing for the Colts. I think Matt Ryan is not the same player he was even last year, never mind a few years ago when he won the MVP. I think it means they need to obviously get their receivers more involved. Michael Pittman only got 3 receptions last week, so that's what they're going to have to air it out some more. I don't think that will go well for them. I think that's going to seriously hinder them. I think Taylor's miss is big in this one.
Yeah, no, I agree. We're talking about basically the lead player for both of these offenses in Javonte Williams and Jonathan Taylor both missing out. So let's talk about the QBs. You just touched on Matt Ryan there. Less than stellar start to the Indianapolis Colts career. You wrote a great opinion piece on the SBK Betting Zone Content Hub. Check that out if you can, stating that Indianapolis Colts keep signing these quarterbacks that are never going to take them to the top. Meanwhile, as I've already mentioned, Russell Wilson hasn't really started very well for the Denver Broncos either. Who do you think has the edge in this game?
So Ryan has been improving lately. I mean, he completed 27 passes in each of his last two games, and for 3 touchdowns and 1 interception in total in the last 2. But I think Wilson's still getting used to this offense. I think he's clearly the superior player. Probably a future Hall of Famer. And he has Judy and Sutton, which, I mean, his connection with Sutton already is looking really promising. Sutton's been used loads by Wilson already. So I think Wilson has the edge here. I think with the defense he has behind him, I think he can manage the game well and make sure that he does what's needed. I don't think he's going to have an explosive performance by any means, but I think he'll be able to manage the game well enough to get the win here.
Yeah, so you just touched on there. A little hint towards your prediction. So let's go fully into the predictions. The Denver Broncos are the 3-point favourites on the spread. They're 1.61 money line right now compared to the Colts 2.6. The over and under line is also set at 42.5 points. So Jack, what do you like as your bets in this game?
I picked 3 for the first time this season. I do like the Broncos, as I said. I picked them at minus 2.5 at 1.79. I think it might not be that close, but I think it's going to be quite a defensive game, so probably not a lot of points scored. So probably better to err on the side of caution there. I've also backed Sutton to score at some point. I think he got his first touchdown last week. I think his relationship with Wilson is just going to get better and better.
Yeah, I think Cortland Sutton's definitely a leading play here. I don't have a necessarily strong fancy in this game. I would love to see the Denver Broncos come out on top. As I say, I was a big believer pre-season. They've disappointed me so far. My fantasy teams have taken a hit with Javonte Williams going down. But I think they're capable of doing so much better than they've shown so far. And they should be beating the Colts based on how they've started this season without their best weapon in Jonathan Taylor. Thank you for watching this special episode of SBK Edge Rush Extra. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did and you're watching on YouTube, please whack a like on the video and make sure you tune into our Sunday episodes as well, hosted by Nat Coombs. We've just actually filmed the Sunday episode for this week as well, where we cover 4 games, including the London game between the New York Giants and the Green Bay Packers. Before we go, I should mention our brilliant SBK new customer offer. All new SBK customers, if you bet £10, you get £30 in free bets. T's and C's apply. Best of luck with your selections this week, Jack, and you guys at home who are watching. I hope you have all the winners, and I hope you enjoyed the NFL slate in Week 5.